Okay, attention in the poultry barn. We're fixing to start our poultry show.
In terms of presentation, clip job, phenomenal. This one draws you in. Young lady does a great job.
Well, good morning, and what a pleasure it is to come out here and evaluate your young individuals' livestock here from the Gillespie County Fair.
When it comes down to it, the one that wins is simply more my kind. Just in terms of being a little stouter and more moderate in build and having a little more chunk.
He's got the most volume. He's a little bit overcooked, overdone, but at least he got there.
Caleb Cruzy, Madeline Embry, Kinley Cott, Britley Bowers,
the holding ring.
Well, my name is Paige Finley from FbgLive, and I just want to welcome all of you to the Gillespie County Youth Livestock Show. Thank you for joining us today, and thanks for your support of these young people, their families, as they've put tons of time, effort, and energy, blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point. We have a great show for you today. Swine happening right now, as you can see, and immediately following will be the Heifer and Steer Show. We're going to be having some guests stopping by the trailer for some interviews throughout the day, and we get a chance to learn more about them and what all it takes to get to this point and how all of this works together. But for now, let's get to our first show. This is a swine show today, starting with the first class of Durocs. Again, thank you for joining us.
Attention in the hog barn. This will be first call Class 2 Durocs. First call Class 2 Durocs to the holding ring. Attention in the hog barn. This will be your second call, Class 2 Durocs. Second call, Class 2 Durocs to the holding ring.
Certainly is a pleasure to be here at Gillespie County this morning, and a little chilly for my liking, but we're going to warm up as we get the show started. This first class of Durocs, I think you could start these top four kind of however you wanted and not be totally wrong. Just the stage they're in and the way they look and how they come together. When I sit back and evaluate them, I always say, which one would I want my kid to be driving to get to an end point, or the way they need to, what I think they need to look like at this age. And the one I started this class fits the bill. He's the biggest footed, heaviest bone. His hind leg motions and works better than anything in the class. He takes his hock past his tail. I love his bone and his circumference and where his feet placement is. He's a neat looking bear out front of his shoulder. I will tell you, he's not as neat as the one in second, but he's truly wider when he comes right at you. I read his hind leg more genuine and true when you back off to the side of him. Young man's bear comes in second. If you like him tall fronted and really jack-necked and neat looking, he's the one you grab a hold to. For me, he's just got to be better when he comes right at you. He wants to close at his knee, get a little tight in his forerib and his chest. Real neat looking bear. He's got a bright future. Really like the top two in his class. Young man's gilt comes in third. If you like him big rib, stout and burly, she's the one you grab. She's the best in her forerib. She's the burliest about her center body. For me, she's the rounder. The reason she ends third, she's the rounder out of her hip. She's the most common at the top of her pole. She gets a little cresty and a little planer up in front of her shoulder. I got to just make her better there and square her hip to compete with the two bears ahead of her. But a big rib, stout gilt to come third. Very high quality red gilt to be third. Young lady's bear that comes fourth. Really love his back shape and how he comes out of his blade. Love him up in front of his shoulder, the way his head comes out the top of his shoulder and his neck placement. For me, he ends up fourth. He's the most restricted on his hind leg. Gets the tightest in his hock. Kind of wants to hock in when you get in behind him. Just got to free him up, but a very high quality bear to end up fourth. Young man's bear that comes five. Very, very good in his center rib and how he comes out of his shoulder and his forerib. Love this one, center punch. He ends up fifth for me today because he's the most vanilla when we get in behind him. He kind of wants to tuck and duck his hock, get a little flatter on his pasture, just get a little uncoordinated there. Young lady's heavy muscle gilt rounds out the class. Back shape galore, really stout, biggest muscle dog in the class. Just too restricted off both ends for me. Let's give him a round of applause for a very good class of Durocs.
hog barn. This will be first call, Class 3 Durocs. First call, Class 3 Durocs to the holding ring.
In the cattle barn, if we can bring all registration papers up to the main desk to get checked in, please.
To the swine barn. This will be your second call, Class 3 Durocs. Second call, Class 3 Durocs to the holding ring.
another class that I think there's a lot of give and take. And I'm going to like to start with one that's the biggest legged, biggest footed, and probably handles her hind leg as true and as genuine as anyone in the class. She comes at me with the most spread up front. She's not perfect at the top of her neck. I'd like to change her there, clean her crest up, clean her polled up. But that is a big-legged, sound Duroc female that's got a big rib and a big old back, and just everything works and fits the best for me. Young lady's bear that comes second is the freshest in the class when you get over the back of him. He's got the most true shape coming right out the top side of his blade. I guess as the drive wore on, his hind leg just gets a little iffy for me. He wants to push out and come in his hock. Just need to loosen him up for this show, Judge, and make him flex and go better. I read him as maybe not as heavy bone and as loose skeleton as the kid that wins the class. The one that intrigues me comes 3. That is a dense, stout-skulled, good-looking Duroc bear that can motor real good. For me, when I compare him to the 3 ahead of him, and it's probably just a timing deal and where his end point is, I got to drop his flank and freshen him up. I think that when that one's totally ready, he gets with the class and runs away with it. Today, for this judge, he's got to be fresher. I know you got bigger goals in mind, probably another show ahead of you, but I think that one's got a very bright future when you get him fresh and ready. Young man's bear that comes fourth is real loose and real neat when you get off the side of him. That's a stout-skulled, really loose Duroc bear that's really heavy bone and goes good. I land him fourth because when I step in behind him, I read him the flattest about his quarter, the lightest about his stifle, and just need to make him wider when he comes right away, goes right away from me. But a very good bear off from the side, balance and just flexibility. Young lady's Duroc bear comes out next, is a very tall-fronted, high-quality individual. He lands fifth for me today because he was the most restricted in his hock, the tightest in his movement, highest in his flank, but a very good pattern bear, real tall-fronted, real neat-looking, got lots of quality there. Young lady's Gilded comes 6, is a dense, heavy bone, stout skull, neat-looking individual. She lands 6 for me because she's the shortest about her hip, the quickest about her step, and the softest on her passions. Let's give this young lady a round of applause. Very good class of Durocs.
Attention to the Swine Barn. Just a reminder, we are doing showmanship during our show today. So if this is just a reminder to wear your showmanship number. And if you're wearing a jacket over your shirt, please make sure that that number is on the outside of that jacket so that the showmanship judges can read that as needed. In the Hog Barn again, results from our first 2 classes of Durocs this morning. Results of Class 1 Durocs. In 10th, we had Cimarron Hoyt with the Fredericksburg FFA. 9th, Abigail Dennis with Fredericksburg FFA. 8th, Caden Meyer with Willow Creek 4-H. 7th, Willow Herber with Willow Creek 4-H. 6th, Jordan Atkinson with Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 5th, Reed Spees with St. Mary's 4-H. 4th, Ridley Strockbine with Fredericksburg FFA. Third, Brooke Feltz with Harper FFA. Second, Braden Strickland with Harper FFA. And your class winner for Class 1 was Brooke Feltz with Harper FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. And the results from Class 2 Durocs. Ninth was Hannah Cruzy with Fredericksburg FFA. 8th, Ian Wyrick with Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 7th, Weston Herber with Willow Creek 4-H. 6th was J.C. Tribes with Cave Creek 4-H. 5th was Bailey Groby with Fredericksburg FFA. 4th was Chapel Herbert with Willow Creek 4-H. 3rd was Talon Toch with Harper 4-H. 2nd was Abigail Schladier with Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner for Class 2 Durocs was Emma Schladier with Fredericksburg FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Attention to the hog barn. This will be first call, Class 4 Durocs. First call, Class 4 Durocs to the holding ring. intervention in the hog barn. This will be second call, Class 4 Durocs. Second call, Class 4 Durocs to the holding ring.
I think a very challenging class of Durocs to start here, and I don't think there's one that grabs you, comes out and says, hey, I got to win, or is there a perfect win? They all come with faults, and when I step back and analyze them and just think about the way I want one built and how it's designed and just presence from the side and everything, the young man's gilt rises to the top. I love this gilt out in front of her blade and how her neck ties in the top of her shoulder. She's still stout-jawed and stout-skulled and clean about her neck and her jaw. Got awesome shape. I will be the first one to admit she's a little quicker right at the top of her hip, a little shorter from hooks to pins. Need to lengthen her there and maybe lengthen her stride just a nickel, but I think she offers the most positives to win this class. Young man's Barrett comes stakes. Second is a Burley Sucker. He's a big rib, stout, round in his cage kind of hog. With that comes his faults. He's a little off in his hip-loin junction, rounder and quicker about his hip, rounder about his muscle. Therefore, I'd have to, for him to be the gilt, he just needs to be square everywhere for me. If you like him big ribbed and stout, he's the one you use to win the class. Young lady's bear comes in threes, a neat pattern kind of bear from the side. He kind of matches our class winner when you talk about where his head comes out and just how he's made. He lands 3 for me because he is the shortest about his rump, the steepest about his hip. He's also the flattest about his passion. Love his pattern, love his design. Got to lengthen his hips, strengthen his passions to come any higher day. Young lady's bear 4, his bear from the side is killer. Love the way he flexes and goes. Love his head shape and his neck. When you get in behind him is where I got trouble with him. He wants to come out of his hock, be wider by the center port of his stifle. Got to square him from behind, make him truer when he goes away to move up any higher today. Young ladies, bear that comes next is a big top rascal that's got some muscle and some shape. He lands 5th for me because he's the most uncoordinated. When you get him in behind him, he wants to hock in, go out at his toes at the ground. Got to bring his hock back into the center part of his body, make his toes square, make him go freer and easier. A nice class of Durocs. Let's give all these kiddos a round of applause.
And your results from Class 3 Durocs. 9th, Emily Seawald, Harper FFA. 8th, Creed Cromer, Harper 4H, excuse me. 7th, Brody Byer, Willow Creek 4H. 6th, William Dixon, Fredericksburg FFA. 5th, Casey Hawkins, Harper 4H. 4th, Hannah Cruzy, Fredericksburg FFA. 3rd, J.C. Constantine, Fredericksburg FFA. 2nd, Owen Stout, Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner was Holt Herber with the Willow Creek 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors. attention in the hog barn. If you have a first or second place Duroc from classes 1 through 3, please bring them to the holding ring at this time. This first call for first. Never mind, we've been holding them. Excuse me. Hog Barn. This will be your first call for Class 1 Hampshires. First call, Class 1 Hampshires to the holding ring.
I think a very challenging class, and I had them probably sorted a different way a time or two in these top twos when I was standing out there looking, and just there's some give and take, and I don't think either one of them come as perfect and as genuine maybe as I would like them, but I guess the one when I step back and he reads the most genuine, especially in his front shoulder design and the way he is from shoulder, knee to ground, and his flexibility when you back off the side is the one I'm going to win the class. I will be the first to admit, he's not as neat looking. His head probably don't come out of the top of his body as good, but his shoulder reads correct. His angles read more correct. He's the most genuine when I back off to the side, get in behind him. He reads with the most base width. He reads with the most angle to his shoulder is where I start this pair. Young lady's bear in second comes with a lot of wow factor. That is a big-legged, big top, big-ended rascal. He just, the longer we went on, and as I step up to the side of him, I got to redesign his front knee and his front shoulder, way his blade comes out the top of the way his blade points forward, way his knee gets restricted, and where I guess he probably bothers you the most is when I get right in front of him. We got to spread him just a little. He wants to cave in his knee. Unbelievable hog, lots of wow factor. Tough decision, young lady, but you got to place him somewhere, and he just bothers me there. Young man comes in third. This is a real genuine gilt. I know she runs a lot and so fast for the young man. Love her basic build and design. Love the way she's just fluid in her motion. She's awful fast. I guess when I read her compared to the two ahead of her, she maybe don't have the extras in terms of foot and bone, but a very genuine, practical Duroc female that's very sound in her movement. Got to give her more foot and bone and just a little bit of the extras to run with the two ahead of her. Young man that comes in fourth. Love this one's look up front. Love his back shape and his rib shape. Little flatter passion. And then where he bothers me the most is when I get in right behind him. He's the lightest about his lower stifle. Wants to hock in. Got to square him from hock to ground there when he goes away. Young lady's bear that comes next. Burly sucker, dense in his bone and big in his foot, round in his rib. He's the quickest from hooks to pins. He's the roundest out of the top part of his hip. We got to square him and flatten him there, make him looser and just leveler and better designed off on the side. He's the biggest rib, biggest caged one of the class. We fix his back third there. He can run with any one of them in the class. Young lady's bear that comes in next. Very practical in his build and design. Love his look, love his back shape, love his soundness. Got to make him heavier bone. Got to make him drop his flank to run with the class. Gets a little dry and holler about his body. Let's give him all a round of applause. Very nice class of Duroc.
And your results from Class 4 Durocs. 10th, Corbin Clark with Cape Creek 4H. In 9th, Casey Hawkins with Harper 4H. 8th, Ashley Dressen with Fredericksburg FFA. 7th, Clark Crinwell with Doss 4H. 6th, Emily Seawald with Harper FFA. 5th, Abigail Schladier with Fredericksburg FFA. 4th, Weston Herbert with Willow Creek 4H. 3rd, Connor Sides with St. Mary's 4H. 2nd, Charlie Olfers with Cape Creek 4H. And your class winner was Audie Usner with Fredericksburg Junior FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Folks, as we're bringing these first and second place Durocs back out into the ring, we're gonna go ahead and make second call for Class 1 Hereford. Second call, Class 1 Herefords to the holding ring. Not Herefords, Hampshires, my bad. I haven't had enough coffee today, please forgive me.
think a very good Duroc show, and numbers were good, and quality was even better. And there were some tough decisions to be made, I think, in every class. And I wouldn't probably argue with you if you want to swap them in an area or two. I guess with that being said, there's a couple I think get into contention out here. I think they're very good in their own right and just very genuine in their movement and their structure and just the way they flow around the ring. I guess the one that probably suits me the best, he's not the heaviest bone rascal in the world, but he's really ready. Love his back shape, love his flexibility, love his way he motors, heavyweight to be your champion. Let's give that young man a round of applause. Drop that second place in, and I guess as a show judge, sometimes you think that you had a tough decision and you make a call, and just what you do and how you place them. I do think there's a couple other ones in the running, but I think the one that's the most unique and the hardest one to make, even though he's a little knock-kneed and straight in his shoulder, I'm going to forgive him for that. Young lady, second place heavyweight will be your reserve.
Attention, the Hog Barn. Pardon my stumble on the microphone earlier, but this will be third call for the first class of Hampshires to the holding ring. Third call, Class 1 Hampshires to the holding ring. In the Hog Barn, your reserve champion, Duroc Market Hog, was exhibited by Charlie Ulfers with the Cave Creek 4-H, and that award was sponsored by Walter Rohde and Sons Show Pigs. And your champion, Duroc Market Hog, was exhibited by Audie Usner with Fredericksburg FFA, and that award was sponsored by Cruzy Show Pigs. Thank you to those sponsors, and congratulations to those exhibitors. Exhibitors, throughout the day, if you are selected for a champion or reserve champion slot, you will receive an envelope. Inside that envelope is a blank thank you card. That thank you card must be filled out and taken over to a table over by the drug testing ring. And your thank you card must be turned in before you receive your champion and reserve champion buckles and banners. Again, that thank you card must be filled out prior to the reception of your awards. Attention in the hog barn. This will be your first call for Class 2 Hampshires. First call, Class 2 Hampshires to the holding ring. Also in the hog barn, as the show is going today, if you have concluded your showing activities for the day, you are welcome, should you desire, to load up your livestock, load your tack, and go home. There is not a set move-out time where move-out will begin. You may begin loading out whenever you are done showing. Also, if you desire, if you wish to floor your hog when you are done showing today, the swine floor price will be 53 cents a pound. Again, the swine floor price today is 53 cents per pound. And we will give you more information on the location of the floor trailer when that becomes available. We will do that towards the end of the show. In the swine barn, this will be your second call, Class 2 Hampshires. Second call, Class 2 Hampshires to the holding ring.
Certainly a high-quality pair of Hampshire Bears to start our lightweight class off, and I wouldn't argue if you wanted to swap them either way. I can see their differences in what they read. I guess the one that reads the most unique to me as far as head shape and skull shape and the way his bottom of his neck ties into the base of his sternum there, he just reads to me like one that, if fed long enough and slow enough, could be a real nice pig down the road, one that just you're going to take along slow, because his problem is he's not as loose as the bear that comes in second. He needs to be looser out of his hip, looser when he gets in behind him. but I think that one took right and managed right. Surely looks like with that bone and that density and that uniqueness, got a bright future. Young Mansberry comes in second. Real fresh back, round rib, real probably longer hipped and a little looser made. At the same time, I think he gets a little plainer from the top of his pole to the base of his sternum. One that when I compare him to our class winner, I don't read him as dense in his bone work and his neat and just out there in his look. I wouldn't agree if you wanted to say he was looser and use him. I'm fine with that. I just think the one that wins the class is the more unique one. Young lady comes in third, probably matches our class winner in terms of look and present, but at the same time, when you back off of this one, he's the straighter. He wants to paddle up front. He's straighter in his shoulder, quicker, about a step on both ends. We free this one up. He could probably run with either one of those ahead of him. Real unique in his look and his shape and his design. Just got to loosen him up front, loosen him from behind. Young Mansberry comes next. This is the biggest stifled hog in the class. When you get in behind him, he's got the most when you get in behind him. But when you step off the side of him, he's the most vanilla in his look. He's the shortest and quickest about his hip. We got to lengthen his hip up, clean the base of his throat up. One that's got a big back and a big stifle in him. Just got to clean him up and give him more presence. Young Man's Gilded comes in fourth is a real neat-looking pick from the side. One I love, her femininity and just the way her neck's long and just genuine and very youthful. Love her design. When you get off the side of her, that's a big back individual with a long, pretty neck. Where she bothers this show judges when I get right in behind her. She's the most uncoordinated from hock to ground. She wants to get in at her toes. If we could spread her there, I love this one's look and balance as good as any in the class. Just got to fix her from behind. Very high quality gilt to go fifth. Let's give all these exhibitors a round of applause.
Your results from Class 1 Hereford Market Hogs. 9th, Liam Pittman, St. Mary's 4-H. 8th, Hannah Fielder, Harper FFA. 7th, J.C. Constantine, Fredericksburg FFA. 6th, Cameron Beachy, Harper FFA. 5th, Henley Willis, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. Apologies on placings just a minute ago. Your results from Class 1 Hampshires. 8th, Hannah Fiedler. 7th, J.C. Constantine. 6th, Cameron Beachy. 5th, Henley Willis. 4th was Liam Pittman with St. Mary's 4-H. 3rd was Abigail Schlavier with Fredericksburg FFA. 2nd was Holt Herbert with Willow Creek 4-H. And first was Talon Toch with Harper 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors. into the hog barn. This will be your first call, Class 3 Hampshires. First call, Class 3 Hampshires to the holding ring.
Well, if this don't get you fired up to be in a show ring judging show pigs, these two right here do it for me and do it for me well. I love things about both of them. They get me really excited. And if we was at home showing pigs, I'd be happy to have either one on these on feed. I guess the one that I'm going to start with, the young man's gilt closest to me, reads more youthful about her neck from her poll to her tip of her nose. She's longer. She's more extended there. She gives me a better look when we back on the side of them. I love her back shape, love her top shape. I think soundness is a wash on both of them. I think where I start this pair is just simply there. She's better at the top side of her neck. She's better from the top of her pole to the base of her sternum. She's longer, more immature about her front end. Young man's bear coming in second. If you want him heavier bone, you could probably start him in the second. I love his density of bone and his tallness up front and how comfortable he is. I guess when this show judge backs off to the side of him, I read him a little jammed up front. Got to extend him compared to the gilt. But that is a dense, heavy bone bear that I think's got a bright, bright future with his balance and design from the side. Two very high-quality show pigs to go first and second. Let's give both of them a round of applause. Young man's gilt that comes in third, I think compared to the class, just runs out of density and bone and maybe just gets a little more vanilla about her pattern. She's smaller footed, therefore she lands in the third. What starts her in the third, I think she's more genuine about her skeleton than either the two behind her. She, to me, when you freshen her up and get her just a little fuller, she'll have the most to her, just genuine-wise, being genuine in her build, genuine in her skeleton compared to the class. She's got to be denser about her bone and bigger about her foot. Young man's bear that comes next. This is a big top rascal. Love his shape, love his height of shoulder. Gets a little frailer out of the ground, gets a little quicker, about a step behind. Young man's round rib gilt comes in next. This is a big caged round 4-rib gilt. For this show judge, we just got to make her fresher. We got to clean her up in front of her shoulder, make her better looking and square her from behind. Let's give them a round of applause. Two high-quality individuals on top.
Attention in the hog barn. This will be your second call, Class 3 Hampshires. Second call, Class 3 Hampshires to the holding ring. And your results from Class 2 Hampshires. 10th, Jack Edwards with Stonewall 4-H. 9th, Bryson Leonard with Harper 4-H. 8th, Clark Prinroby with Doss 4-H. 7th, Emily Seawald with Harper FFA. 6th, Hannah Bodie with Harper 4-H. 5th, Brody Byer with Willow Creek 4-H. 4th, Logan Wyrick with Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 3rd, Creed Cromer with Harper 4-H. 2nd, Kyle Hardison with Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner was exhibited by Braden Strickland with Harper FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Attention in the swine barn. This will be your first call, Class 4 Hampshires. First call, Class 4 Hampshires to the holding ring.
certainly a nice class of bears here, and I don't know, this top 5, maybe you could sort it however you want it. There's not one that really just grabs my attention and says I got to win. The bear I'm going to start with, I read, is the most fault-free, and he's really true about his back shape and the way he comes out of his top side of his skeleton, the way he reads into his forearm, his feet and leg placement's awesome. I'd like to change him right at his pole there. It gets a little cresty for me, but if we could change him there, I think he's an easy class winner. Certainly a big-backed individual that comes out with a big square top, really fresh about his appearance. Young lady's good-looking bear that comes in second. That one can flat motors real long out in front of his blade, real neat-looking. Love him from the side. He gets a little plainer about his top, wants to dip when you get him into motion, gets a little easier about his back. But his biggest concern for me is when I step in right behind him on the outside of his right hock. He's got some swelling there. Need to just clean those joints up to make him a class winner. Maybe raise him in when he's in motion in the center portions of his body. Young lady's big bone gilt comes next. She is certainly the stoutest bone, biggest footer one in the class. I guess where she concerns me is when we back onto the side of her and put her into motion. She's the flattest about her rear pastern. She almost oversteps her hind leg, kind of throws her balance off. We could straighten her back pastern, maybe bring her step just to a nickel back, really tighten it up just a nickel, make her balance better. But she is the biggest bone, biggest footer one. Good hog to go third, young lady. Young lady's bear comes in fourth. Proportions from the side are awesome. Love his length of body, love his length of neck up front. I guess his biggest concern for me is when I step in behind him, it's from stifle to stifle. He's the narrowest when you get in behind him. He's the narrowest and the most untrue when you go from hock to ground. Got to widen him there to make him competitive in a nice class of Hampshire hogs. Young lady's bear comes in fifth. This is the tall fronted, jacked up one, the real long fronted. When you back off the side of him, he's the smallest about his foot. He's the smallest about his elbow. He's the frailest to the ground. We got to stouten him up, maybe bring his back up right out of his blade just a nickel. Nice class of Hampshire hogs. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Results from Class 3 Hampshire's 7, Strand Spinrath with Harper 4H. 6th, JC Tribes with Cave Creek 4H. 5th, Adela Threadgill with Fredericksburg FFA. 4th, Mackenzie Wyrick with Fredericksburg FFA. 3rd, Hannah Bodie with Harper 4H. 2nd, Landry Ottmers with St. Mary's 4H. And your class winner was exhibited by Riley Pittman with St. Mary's 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors. And if you have a hog in the first class of Yorkshires, be getting those animals ready. Again, first class of Yorkshires, be getting your animals ready for when we call.
Okay, attention in the cattle barn. Both the heifer and the steer classes have been posted. They're on the bulletin board by the information booth, on the bulletin board facing the east side.
Attention to the hog barn. This will be first call, Class 1 Yorkshires. First call, Class 1 Yorkshires to the holding ring.
Certainly a nice class of Hampshire hogs, and I guess to finish up our Hampshire show. And I do think that neither one of them come to me maybe in a perfect package, but some very unique things. I'm going to talk and tell you what I see and then tell you how I placed them. In no particular order, young lady to my left here. This is the free-moving, long-fronted one of the class. He's the one that grabs his hock, comes past his tail. He's really long out through his front end. He almost gets a little refined about his jaw for me. I wish I could stouten him there, but he's definitely the longer hip, looser made one. I think back shape's a wash when you compare them in rib shape, but I do think this one is longer and looser. He does have me concerned on his other side. He's got a little swelling right in his flank. That's probably a little concern for me, but it's not terrible. Young lady's bear that comes next. This is the real neat looking one. He's stout about his jaw, stout about his head. Love the way his head comes out the top of his blade. He is the more restricted when you get in behind him. He's the tighter right in his rear pasture. And I don't know if he reads as bigger footed as the other bear that's looser. I think it's a very close pair. I don't think either one of them's perfect. The one that I'm most comfortable with is looser and a little neater looking. I'd like to stouten his jaw. Young lady over here to my left's first. Young lady in the blue second. Very high quality pair of bears. We let all the rest of them out? You'd let all the rest of them out, huh? Yeah. I was looking, I was like, they wasn't in this class. The bear I put third in that class was real neat looking and had some swelling in his flank, needed to be heavier bone. I talked to the other two kids, so let's give them all a round of applause.
Results from Class 4 Hampshires. In 5th, Carson Beachy, Harper FFA. 4th, Caden Lopez, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 3rd, Gage Bryant, St. Mary's 4-H. 2nd was Faith Geiswat with Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner was exhibited by Reese Sagoville with Fredericksburg FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. As we get the Hampshire Drive underway, this will be second call, Class 1 Yorkshires. Second call, Class 1 Yorkshires to the holding ring.
I do think this has been a very competitive Hampshire show, and I think two classes in particular, our second class and our fourth class, had two individuals in each class that were very, very good. And it's when you step back out here and start studying these pigs and you think about the one that was second, and if you would have changed it and just how, you know, the decisions to be made, I still think that there's one for me just does everything just a nickel better in terms of just balance and design and presence and foot placement and just everything from her shoulder forward. And I guess I give it away. That young man's Gilt's going to be champion Hampshire. Let's give him a round of applause. We dropped that second place bear out in that class, and we can remember him being a tall-fronted, heavy-duty individual. I guess when I drop him out of here, the one that most matches my champion Hampshire overall, if he was as stout a jawed as her and maybe as good on his rear feet as she is, I thought he pushed her awful hard. Young ladies heavyweight's going to be your reserve champion. Let's give him a round of applause.
Attention in the hog barn. Your reserve champion, Yorkshire Market Hog, was exhibited by Reese Sagabiel of the Fredericksburg FFA, and that award sponsor was Ronald's Cabinet Shop. And your champion, Yorkshire Market Hog, was exhibited by I apologize. Those were, I read my lines wrong. Everything's a little out of order this morning. But your reserve champion, Hamp, was exhibited by Reese Saugerbill with the Fredericksburg FFA, and the sponsor for that award was Littner Show Pigs. And your champion, Hampshire Market Hog, was exhibited by Braden Strickland with the Harper FFA, the sponsor for that award being Mackenzie Spizak. Congratulations to those exhibitors, and thank you to those sponsors. Attention in the swine barn. This will be your first call Class 2 Yorkshires. First call Class 2 Yorkshires to the holding ring.
Certainly a high-quality class of Yorkshires right here, and the one I like to start with, I think he reads more genuine about his forearm and his shoulder shape and just the shape of his arm and the way he handles his arm coming down into his blade and foot. He reads more genuine there. That's a neat-looking stout skull bear that's got a big back and can motor when he gets off to the side. Love the way he uses his hawk past his tail. Love lots of things about him. Very high-quality individual start. Gilden second, I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to say she's bigger-footed and heavier boned. I guess where she bothers me is right there in her forearm and just the way her shoulder shape is. I need to relax her there, maybe soften her up in her flank. But that's a stout animal that's got lots of meat animal shape. One that's got a big old back coming out of the top of her blade and into her hip. Very heavy duty. Just got to soften her up, free her up in her arm for this show, Judge. Young man's bear comes in third. It's a very practical hog. A very practical hog when you back off to the side of him. He's neat looking, very sound, very immature compared to the two ahead of him. I think this one's got a bright future. I guess when I compare the two ahead of him, need to square him when his hawk going the way he wants to hawk in just a little, maybe make him heavier bone compared to the class. Young ladies, big stout one comes out next. This is a big muscle shape, big old back, big old rib. Just got to free him up for this guy. Too restricted in his hawk, too short in his hip. Got to loosen him up, make him go better for me. Very high-quality individual. Young lady's bear comes in next. This is an up-headed, neat-looking Yorkshire. Gets a little refined about his jaw. Biggest problem with him, his feet are too little, his bones are too small compared to the class. We stout him up, make his bones bigger. Love his look, love his balance. Let's give him all a round of applause.
Results from Class 1 Yorkshire Hogs. 7th, Kaylee Leonard, Harper 4-H. 6th, Natalie Huff, Fredericksburg FFA. 5th, Charlie Olfers, Cave Creek 4-H. 4th, Channing Spinrath, Harper 4-H. 3rd, Chapel Herber, Willow Creek 4-H. 2nd, Talon Toch, Harper 4-H. And class winner was exhibited by Reese Sockville with Fredericksburg FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. And folks, barn-wide, our Gillespie County Youth Livestock Show this year is being live streamed. So if you have friends or family that could not make it to the barn today for whatever reason, but they still want to watch their young relatives and young friends show, they can go to Fbg.Live and find the live stream of the 2022 Gillespie County Youth Livestock Show. Again, that's Fbg.Live, L-I-V-E, to watch a live stream of this year's Gillespie County Youth Livestock Show. attention to the barn exhibitors. Just a reminder, as you're selected for champion and reserve champion spots, this is show-wide. As you're selected for champion or reserve champion, you are handed an envelope with a blank thank you card. That thank you card must be filled out and returned to Miss Mason DeLong at a table over by the drug testing pen on the south side of the barn. Again, that table is by the drug testing pen on the south side of the barn. Correction, that table is on the north side of the barn. Again, that table is on the north side of the barn.
Good class of Yorkshires and some give and take and how you want to sort them or whatever. And the one that I kind of had my mind out when they come through the gates and when I let them back out just suited me the best. And he got to go a little fast and he's going to burn out on me here right at the end. But I think he's the most genuine in his angles. He's the best about his shape. He's the most genuine just in his build and his design. Love his shape, love his squareness of pin, love how level hipped he is. I guess where he beats the bear in second is from hooks to pins and levelness and just how he handles his hock. He's longer about his hip. He's longer about his step. Very unique bear right here in his look and his design and his balance. Love his back shape. Got to free him up from hooks to pins and right out of his hock. Young lady's big barreled one comes out next. This is a big rib, really fresh kind of Yorkshire bear. Love his back shape or gilt. Love her back shape. Love her muscle expression. Got to drop her in her flank. Got to free her up when she goes away. She wants to go more east and west and north and south. Gets a little more refined from hock to ground. Need to bulking her up. Young lady's bear that comes in next. This is kind of a meat and potatoes hog. Real vanilla about his look. Real vanilla about his shape. Not a whole lot wrong. Not a whole lot of extras. For me, got to square the top of his hip up. Make him square at the top of his pin bones. Make him a little neater looking to compare to class. Young man's big muscled one comes next. That's the shapely one, big stifle one in the class. He goes in 5 because the way he handles his right hind leg, wants to never flex his hock, just kind of goes forward and in motion with it. Young man's bear that comes in next, really neat looking, gets a little higher flank, gets a little steeper hip for me. Neat looking, drop that one's flank and freshen him up. I think he can move up a couple notches. His hip's the biggest problem with me. Kind of a little shorter by the top of his hip. Let's give him all a round of applause for a very nice class of Yorkshires.
Attention in the swine barn. This will be first call, Class 1 white OPBs. Again, first call, Class 1 white OPBs.
I thought a very good Yorkshire show, and we drop our first and seconds in, and I think it gets competitive maybe there on the top end for our champion and reserve. But I guess the two that suit me the best, the two that if I was going to back off and say, let's go home and feed them and get them ready and see what happens in 30 or 60 days. Them two lightweights suit me the best. They'll be your champion and reserve. Let's give them a round of applause.
Attention in the swine barn. Your reserve champion, Yorkshire Market Hog, was exhibited by Talon Toch with Harper 4-H. And the sponsor of that award was Ronald's Cabinet Shop. And your champion, Yorkshire Market Hog, was exhibited by Reese Sagabil with the Fredericksburg FFA. The sponsor of that award was Glenn and Gina Kennecke. Congratulations to those exhibitors, and thank you to our award sponsors. In the swine barn, this will be second call, class 1 white OPB. Second call, class 1 white OPBs to the holding ring. Attention in the swine barn. This will be first call Class 2 white OPBs. First call Class 2 white OPBs to the holding ring.
Well, it's a very high quality class of Chesters, and I think a lot of them do a lot of things right. And I guess when I step back off of them and just look at design and build and how clean this one is about his crest for that breed and how good his feet and legs function and just how everything goes together. And then when you get on top of this one, he maybe looks flat from ringside, but he's got a big old rolled up back and a big old cage in him, can motor like no tomorrow, square pin, I think he wins it at the top of his neck and just the way he handles everything. Very high quality pig to start. If you like him a little heavier bone and denser made, the one in second probably fits you a little better. He bothers me when we back on the side of him. He's a little more cresty about the top of his neck. He's more vanilla in terms of the way his neck ties in the bottom of the base of his shoulder. He's a little quicker and shorter about his hip. But that is a heavy bone, big ribbed individual that is really, really square pinned and square when you get in behind him. Very high quality hairy chester to come in second. Young Lady's Bear that comes in third kind of rivals our class winner as far as look and presence when you back on the side of him. I read him as the most forward in his shoulder, the hollest about his forerib and his flank, and the most uncoordinated when you get in behind him. Young Lady's Chester Gilt that comes in next. She wants about feet and legs and can go for days. That one can. She motors like no tomorrow. For me, she gets a little easier riding her back, gets a little higher riding her chine bone. Like to settle her chine bone in her, just push it from her pole all the way to the middle of her shoulder down to let her balance better from the side. But that's a sound, functional Chester, high-quality Chester female to go forth. Young Man's Bear that comes in next, packing some heat, full of muscle and shape. He's the littlest about his foot. He's the most vanilla right at the top of his hip. Let's give him all a round of applause for a very, very good class of Chesters.
Results from Class 1 White OPBs. 8th, J.C. Tribes, Cave Creek 4-H. 7th, Quinn Durst, Harper FFA. 6th, Reed Speeds with St. Mary's 4-H. 5th, Landon Rhodey Holmes, Harper FFA. 4th, Willow Herber, Willow Creek 4-H. 3rd, Bailey Groby, Fredericksburg FFA. 2nd, Holt Herber with Willow Creek 4-H. And your class winner was exhibited by Weston Herber, also of the Willow Creek 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors. In the Swine Barn. This will be first call, Class 1 Dark OPBs. First call, Class 1 Dark OPBs to the holding ring.
Very logical place to start in that heavyweight white OPBs. The one that's the tallest front and got the most shape and look and balance on the side. I wouldn't say he's perfect in his angles. He's a little more upright and stilty. But I think in this class, compared to the rest, he has the most show pig presence. And just from there, he's got to go ahead and win the class. Young man's gilt right in front of him. He's going to come second. That's a big rib, big top chested gilt that's really sound and neat looking. I just thought compared to our class winner, maybe went a little narrow when she got away from me. Got a little more vanilla about her look and her shape. Just got to widen her out to compete with our class winner. Young man's Big Bear that comes in 3 over here in the black vest. That's a big, good-looking individual. Here you go, buddy. Hey, buddy. Big, good-looking individual. Just gets a little higher and drier about his flank. A little more crusty right at his pole. Young lady's bear, the heavy bone one comes in 4. It's certainly a big, rugged, heavy bone bear. Got to move better. Got to make him better looking to come out next. He was second. The gilt was second. All right. The young man that comes in 5. Big frame, big outline bear. Got to drop his flank, give him more shape. And the young man that comes in next, got to make this one move better, make him just looser all over. Gets a little more uncoordinated off his hind leg, wants the knuckles, rear passions. A little plainer about his look. Let's give him all a round of applause.
White OPBs. In 6th, Caden Byer with Willow Creek 4-H. 5th, Carson Grona, Fredericksburg FFA. 4th, Abigail Dennis, Fredericksburg FFA. 3rd, Aiden Stout, Willow Creek 4-H. 2nd, Brody Byer, Willow Creek 4-H. And your class winner was exhibited by Abby Adams with St. Mary's 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
I think we drop them in and we compare our 2 class winners on the far side of the ring. And I think that there's just one that's more useful in his fundamentals than just how he floats across the ring and just gets around and just love his shoulder angles, love his neatness look. That thing is awful style when you get on top of it. I think he's got a bright future. Young man all the way to my left, heavy champion. When you compare our next 2, I think he gets a little closer. Just the one that just uses his hind leg better, and I like his shoulder placement better. I'm going to keep them lightweights together. Let's give him a round of applause.
Attention to the Swine Barn. This will be your second call. Class 1 dark OPBs. Second call, Class 1 dark OPBs to the holding ring. Your reserve champion, White OPB Market Hog, was exhibited by Holt Herber of the Willow Creek 4-H Club. The sponsor for that award was Stout Construction. And your champion White OPB Market Hog was
Dark OPB are coming in the ring right now with the first class.
The sponsor of that award being Harper,
as these kids are raising these projects and they're going through the process, it looks like we've already done the Durocs, the Hampshires, the Yorks, the White OPB. We got the Dark OPB, and then of course crosses left, and then we'll pick our grand champion of the entire show.
So tell me, I've been noticing the kids this morning as they are doing various things. They'll raise their hand at a certain point in time. This is how ignorant I am. What does that mean? Does that mean the judge has called them out, and so they need to leave the ring, or?
It looks like the way they're doing it is he's placing them. He's pulling them out in an order, and then he likes to pull his top ones out, and then he puts them in a pin, and then he places from the bottom up.
Okay.
And so it's a little different. Every show is a little different. You know, if you tuned in yesterday and you saw the goat show and saw the lamb show, he would bring everybody out all at one time, and then he placed from the bottom up.
Got it.
You know, with the pig show, they sort of do the same thing. They bring them all out. He likes to sometimes he'll pull some of his better ones out. That's why they're raising their hand. And then he may pull them out later, and then he just picks them sort of in order.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see him raise his hand and go sometimes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so
yes, yeah.
He's placing them. He's placing them in order how he sees it. And the cool thing about stock show, if you go to enough of them, every judge sees it a little different, and these pigs are matching the judge's eye for what he's looking for.
OPB, tell us what that stands for. We had White OPB, and now we've got Dark OPB.
OPB is other pure breed.
Okay.
So actually here you're going to see some color variation. You're going to see some different things in them, and of course all these pigs were brought in last night. They were classified by some classifiers, and you're gonna see a lot of variation in color and everything. But they're what they call pure breed pigs.
Okay. There've been some all weekend, I guess. There've been some cute ones. You have little tiny guys, little tiny girls come out and show these big animals, and it's amazing to see that they control them pretty good. All things, every once in a while you get a runaway, but
right.
So speaking of that, I was going to ask you. Tell me, your family has been involved in this. It seems like lots of families out here. This is a very family-oriented thing to do. I mean, this stock show stuff. This is terrific.
Yeah, it very much is, and you see that even more so today. I sort of went through all the pins a while ago. I was talking to some families. It's not just mom and dad in a lot of cases. This is you see grandma, grandpas. You see everybody at the pins working them. Like today, you have families in the wash racks cleaning. Getting these pigs to shine up really pretty.
Yeah.
The days leading up to these shows, a lot of these pigs were their hair grew quite long, so they trimmed them up. They made them look real nice. You see these kids walking them in the ring. These pigs are trained to hold their head a certain way and to walk at a certain pace. So this isn't just they brought them out of a pen one day and they're doing it, and you can see the pigs that have been worked with the best, they learn how to, what they call them, to drive for them, and they take a lot of time to get it the right way.
There's a whole lot more to this than I thought there was when we first started doing this.
This is long, just with any kind of competition, it takes time to get really good at it.
Yeah.
And it's the combination of the kid and the animal. It's no different than in sports. If you want to get good at something, you put the time in.
Right.
It's the same with stock show. It starts with these kids going out months ago, going to the breeders, looking at these little animals, picking the right one, buying the right one, and then putting the time in to then getting it shown the right way and presenting the animal the best it can.
Yeah, it's like having two athletes. Each pig here is two different athletes. It's Good stuff.
Very much, you're right in that process that they go through. They really take the time to work hard and work together to get it through the process.
Tell me a little bit what are some of the benefits you see for the kids from little to big? I mean, what are some of the disciplines they acquire, etc.? Why would you recommend kids get involved in this?
You know, in my family, from when I was a kid to what I do now, you really learn all the tools that you want a kid to go through. You know, the respect for yourself, respect for others. You know, you start talking about family. There's another aspect of this. You have a stock show family. You know, my kids have developed some lifelong relationships just by walking in the barn. It's this aspect of my oldest daughter. She goes to college with some friends that she's been around for so long, ever since she was 6 or 7, since we started this process. One year we decided to go pretty hard, and we went to about 30 weekends of stock shows.
Oh my!
And it's not just about the majors. There's a stock show circuit. It's like being on a select team, if you will.
Yeah.
You can go through. You can work really hard. You can take. You learn to accept the criticism from judges. You learn to see what they're looking for, and then you always are constantly in a state of learning, and you learn what is a quality animal, and you learn to take that and you really work hard at it. Now, there's aspects of the stock show too. A lot of our students, a lot of the kids that are here are just show in our county. But it's still a huge level of commitment to make these animals look their best and show their best. And so I love doing this. I love doing this with my family. You know, there's times where there's some tears in the barn when we're working hard. But as with anything, it
grow through
that
it.
Level of commitment to be really good at something.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more question. We may have one more special guest here after we hear from the judge here. But what if someone at home is watching, has a lot of interest now in getting started with this, but doesn't know where to start? What would you recommend? What's some of the first steps?
Well, our county is pretty much a premier county. We have some of the best county agents and ag teachers around. Our junior FFA program is pretty elite. Our 4-H program is pretty elite. You can get on Gillespie FbgLive. You can get the phone numbers for our 4-H program and reach out to our county agents. They're here to help. They're always here. They'll go through the process with you. Our ag teachers are the same way. If you ever need any help, there's so many people in our community that are there to help. There's also, in our county, we have specific livestock ambassadors that are trained, that can go through the process and help you from the beginning with whether it's selection, feeding, going through all aspects of the shows, and they can always go through that. And even if you want to come out to the barn over today, if you're interested in swine, steers, heifers, you can just walk up to some of these parents. A lot of them are willing just to describe and help you, and they'll give you a lot of information, sometimes unsolicited. A lot of them just love to talk about stock show.
Sure, yeah, you can tell they're quite invested in it. Usually we like to talk about the things we enjoy.
Yes, you're right about that.
So is there a website or some place online where folks could dig a little deeper, get information online about how to get involved specifically with Gillespie County Livestock?
Well, of course, our livestock show board. If you look up the Gillespie County Youth Livestock Show, we have all of our local county information there.
Okay.
Then the local 4-H is Gillespie FbgLive, and I think the judge is coming out with comments. Let's tune into him.
Sounds good.
Is a nickel better than the bear that comes in second? I will tell you that the bear that comes in second is probably better about his forerib, better about his center portion of his body. But when you back off to the side of him and study foot placing and just this one's integrity, I think his foot placement and integrity going away is better. I also think he balances better from the side, holds his hip loin just a little better. 2 high-quality Berkshire Bears to start an OPB drive. Young Man Spot Bear comes in third, one I really love. That's a long-fronted Spot Bear with some shape and some stifle and some soundness. I think where he runs into trouble in this class when I get right in behind him, his right hock scares me just a little. Want to have a little swelling and just gets a little tighter about it. Very good Spot Bear to come in third. Young Lace Bear that falter in fourth. This is a neat-looking, real hairy Spot Bear, and I think one day if he'll ever relax and drive and you get that one maxed up, he's a very, very good Spot Bear. He just wants to fight today and not relax, kind of wants to tuck and duck his hind legs. But I think one day if that thing will ever just calm down and drive and relax and do everything right, that's a very high-quality pig to come fourth. Young Lace Berkshire Bear Gilded comes next. Really big about her back shape, really big about her center portions of her stifle. She comes for fifth today because of the way she handles her hind legs. She wants to push her hock and roll her feet into the ground. Young Lace Berkshire Bear that comes next. Real good ribbed on, real neat look. Gets a little frailer for me. His concern for me is his left rear hock's got some swelling and some joint issues there. Let's give him all a round of applause. Very nice class of black OPBs.
Your results from Class 1 Dark OPB Market Hogs. 10th, Abigail Dennis, Fredericksburg FFA. 9th, Charlize Davis, Harper 4-H. 8th, Beckett Ward, St. Mary's 4-H. 7th, Chapel Herber, Willow Creek 4-H. 6th, Emma Schladier, Fredericksburg FFA. 5th, Casey Hawkins, Harper 4-H.
There we go. Eventually we'll get some of this right.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm joined in the trailer. Let me take this off here by the man himself.
No, I'm not a man.
Well, according to everybody out there, you're sure doing a great job. Lane, thank you for doing all of this, for putting all this on, for all the hard work. I know you haven't slept in at least a week, so add that to a whole bunch of people asking a whole bunch of questions like me, and you got your plate full. But,
yes, sir.
But thank you for doing all this. We appreciate it. How did you get involved with Youth Livestock Show?
So I actually came in on a crucial point. A stock show director actually passed away, and I was asked to fill his position for that year. And so I did, and got to learn the livestock atmosphere as far as being a director. Fell in love with it, fell in love with the kids, the families, the organization, everything that went around it. And it's involved for me being right here right now.
And let's see, what all animals do you have in the show? Does your family have in the show?
My family participates in heifers and steers.
Heifers and steers. So that's going to be this afternoon, right? Right after this?
Immediately
following.
Mm-hmm.
So will there be a little break in there that might be helpful?
Yes, we're going to try to get a little break in there just to get the cattle. It takes a little while to prep some of those just to have them right, make them look pretty. So
I guess the bigger they are, the more work it takes to make them look pretty.
Sometimes, yes. If the hair's not working, a lot of people can relate.
I know the feeling. Well, it's been a treat to get out here. I did not realize until last year how much scholarship money is available for all these kids. I mean, what a blessing that the sale was, and then on top of that, I think people really genuinely appreciate all the discipline that is instilled in these kids through raising these animals, being responsible, etc.
So this is me, and this is from the heart of all the exhibitors out here. The community needs to be thanked for all that. Without their support, we couldn't do all this.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Without a doubt.
And there is a lot of community represented behind the scenes.
Oh, my gosh. We got a great sales committee. We got two gentlemen on there that help raise money. They have an organization there that help get it. We've got syndicates, individual buyers, and every one of them have a big heart.
They've sure given a lot of time, effort, and energy. I guess you and I were meeting early in the week, Tuesday, and I was coming out here setting some things up. There were already people out here shoveling stuff, setting gates up, fences up, weeks prior even to my being here.
So being dedicated to this stock show and for the youth of Gillespie County, it's a year-round. It's year-round. There's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't know about that happen months and months in advance.
Yeah.
Lots of prep.
Yeah. And no doubt your family, your wife, is to be thanked as well for the sacrifice of all the time you've spent out here. Well, we sure appreciate it for
Thank
sure.
you.
This has been a treat to get to be a part of this. One other question, same thing I asked Blaine. Any pointers or tips? I was asking him how someone would get started, but once they're started, once they're enrolled, let's take heifers and steers. Any pointers or tips on, okay, now here's step 2, here's step 3 on making sure your animal's ready for a show like this?
So how I'd go about that is come out to the show, watch the show. You'll evaluate exhibitors, you'll hear parents, this and that, and this don't be scared to ask a question. I mean, we're here to help. We're here to promote. It's all about the youth.
Best way to learn, watch those who've gone before you, huh?
Yes.
Listen carefully and look carefully as to what they're doing. Well, Mr. Ottmers, thank you so much for doing all this, for joining us here in the trailer for a little bit. I was hoping you'd get a chance to come in between all of your responsibilities. I know there's lots of people out there probably blowing up your phone wondering where you are now. So
it's on mute right now.
Well, I'll turn you loose, but thanks again, buddy.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
One other deal. If you haven't been able to come out and watch the show, but you want to see a bunch of dolled up kids, some of the most precious things in the world,
tomorrow
come
night,
out to
baby.
the sale.
Yeah,
come out to the sale
tomorrow, I should say. Yeah.
Yes, sir. We have a pre-sale meal from 11 to noon,
Okay.
and then the sale will actually start at noon.
Okay.
And of course, you can follow us live right here at FbgLive.com.
Yeah, but come in. People are welcome to join.
Come in, and it's just the if you don't get a place in your heart when you see those kids,
something's wrong.
Something's
your heart
wrong.
ain't beating.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Well, it'll be a blessing to get to watch them. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I think a very logical place to start our heavyweight dark OPB's young lady's bear that wins the class. That's a good-looking bear that's got some shape and some squareness and some soundness and very high quality when you talk about presentation and freshness. Young lady's Guilty comes second. Very big bone, very neat looking. Gets a little more restricted out of her hock and into her shoulder as compared to our class winner, but 2 high-quality bears to start. Young man's bear comes in third, just not fresh enough. Gets a little flatter about his rib. Really a neat-looking bear, big profile, big outline. Got to make him stouter in the center portion of his body. Let's give him all a round of applause.
Attention in the swine barn. This will be second call, Class 1 crossbred barrows. Second call, Class 1 crossbred barrows to the holding ring. I think a very high-quality black OPB drive, and I think it comes down to a pair of them for our champion in reserve, and it gets into a matter of what do you want to do and how do you see them and start them. I think they're both very, very good pigs in their own right.
I guess the one that suits me the best in terms of foot placement and just the way he handles himself and his ring presence. I think he's a nickel bigger about his foot, just a nickel bigger about his arm compared to the one we're going to put in, the one we're going to make reserve. We're going to use that heavyweight champion and that lightweight reserve. Let's give him a round of applause.
Attention in the swine barn. This will be your third and final call, Class 1 crossbred barrows. Again, third and final call, Class 1 crossbred market hogs. Another quick announcement for the swine barn. We have not made an announcement about it, but I will let you all know now. We will not be taking a lunch break. Again, the swine show will not stop for a lunch break. We're going to go all the way through, and the break will come after the selection of our grand and reserve grand champion hogs. Results from Class 2, Dark OPB Market Hogs. In 6th, Bryson Lawrence with Harper 4H. 5th, Crockett Eckhart, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 4th, Caden Davis, Fredericksburg FFA. 3rd, Waylon Adams, St. Mary's 4H. 2nd, Mackenzie Wyrick with Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner was exhibited by Ridley Strockbine with the Fredericksburg FFA. Your reserve champion, Dark OPB Market Hog, was exhibited by Reese Sogabill with the Fredericksburg FFA, the sponsor for that award being Dutchman's Market Incorporated. And your champion, Dark OPB Market Hog, was exhibited by Ridley Strockbine, also with the Fredericksburg FFA, the sponsor for that award being Canesi Show Pigs. Congratulations to those exhibitors, and thank you to those sponsors. This will be first call, Class 2 crossbred market hogs. First call, Class 2 crossbred market hogs.
A pair of very high quality bears here in this class, and I mean these are two that if we were sitting in the yard at home and we were driving them, and I'll just go ahead and tell y'all, when we drive hogs at home for the kids, we drive them and I try to find everything I can wrong with them and how we're going to show it out of them, and both of these girls do a very, very good job of presenting these bears to a high degree, and they're very high quality. I'm going to tell you how I see them. I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to swap them probably the way I'm going to place them, but I'm just going to talk them and describe to you what was going through my mind as I placed them. In no particular order, young ladies, belted bear coming right at me. I read this one as a very, very shapely hog that comes out of the top of his back with tons of shape and tons of muscle, very square hip, very big pin, very good from stifle to stifle. I don't know when we compare him to the blue hog in class. He's not as big-footed. He's not as heavy-boned. And I would just like every once in a while just take him and push him down right in the middle of his back. He kind of wants to ride the center portion of his back up just a nickel and get a little more upright there. But he is wider chested. He is a little more shapely when you compare him right out of his back. Young lady's blue hog, I think is a creature when you back off to the side. I mean, that one's feet and bone and just the way everything works and fits and just looks like a lightweight's supposed to look and looks like he's got biggering presence to me. I would make him a nickel bigger chested when I compare him to the belted one. I think that's the only advantage the belted one's got, probably amongst the pair, is he's bigger chested. I love this one's presence in the side. I love his look. I love his balance. He's the most unique one. The blue one wins. The belted one's second. Very, very good pair of hogs. Let's give them both a round of applause. We dropped this young man's blue one. We put in third out right here, and he run into a buzzsaw. That's a pair of very high-quality bears right there. This one's long-bodied and big-framed and good-looking, just maybe not as unique as the one in front of him. He gets a little higher about his flank, a little quicker about his step, but certainly run into a pair of very unique bears, but a high-quality bear to sit third that is big-framed and long and good-looking. Young lady's big bone belted when he comes next. Just not as fresh maybe as the one that beats him. Gets a little drier about his center body. That is a big bone, neat looking pig. We freshened that one up. I think she can run up a notch or two in class. Young man's blue when it comes next. A little shorter about his hip, a little quicker about her step, but certainly a high quality pig. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Attention in the Swine Barn, Sloan Spenrath. We need your Class 2 crossbred market hog to the holding ring. Against Sloan Spenrath, we need your Class 2 cross to the holding ring. And your results from Class 1 crossbred market hogs: 10th, Gus Barron, Fredericksburg FFA. 9th, Sam Barron, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 8th, Brody Byer, Willow Creek 4-H. 7th, Quinn Durst, Harper FFA. 6th, Allison Wyrick, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 5th, Kyle Hardison, Fredericksburg FFA. 4th, Cameron Beatty, Harper FFA. 3rd, Drake Threadgill, Fredericksburg FFA. 2nd, Faith Geiswhite, Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner was exhibited by Landry Ottmers of the St. Mary's 4-H Club. Congratulations to those exhibitors. attention in the swine barn. This will be first call, Class 3 crossbred market hogs. First call, Class 3 crossbred market hogs to the holding ring.
A high quality class here, a pair of bears to start. I had them kind of flip-flopped a couple of times, and there was never a doubt these were going to be first and second through the gates and everything in my mind. I guess the bear that I like to use, he balances better from the side for me. He's leveler from his pole to his hooks to his pins. Love his hind leg structure. Love those rib cage in him. Just how comfortable he is in his look and his presence. No doubt the bear that goes second is bigger footed and bone, but at the same time, I think he's the most uncoordinated of the pair off his hind leg. He kind of wants to tuck and duck and get a little rounder out of the top of his hip. And I'd also like to clean him. And I don't know if it's a color issue. I stepped back a couple times, right at the top of his pole. He's a little crusty for me. I'd like to make him cleaner there and just blend better back into his shoulder and how he comes right ties, everything in there. But that's a big stout bear that goes second. Young lady's bear that comes third is a rugged thing, big centered, big cage kind of bear. I think when you compare him to the two above him, he's the plainer about his throat, he's the frailer about his foot and bone, but he is a shapely bear that's big, stout, rugged, center caged, high quality bear to go third. Young man's guilty comes fourth. This is a big bone individual. I'd just like to change her right out of the top of her hip. She gets a little restricted there from her hip and into her hocks. You don't ever want to flex it and drive, but a very stout gilt to come four. Young bear lays bear. The presence of this bear and the big ring look is unbelievable. That's a big ring kind of hog. He's very tall fronted, very fluid in his motion. He just gets a little too refined about his foot and his bone work comparably to the ones above him, but a very high quality bear. Young lady's calico comes in next to a little straighter shoulder. I'd like to change the angle to her front knee and shoulder. Gets a little more restricted there, but that's a long body, good looking bear that's got some presence about him. Just got to redesign his shoulder. Young lady's bear that comes in next, really good about his cage, too round and quick about his hip for this show judge. Got to loosen his hock up. Let's give him all a round of applause.
Your results from Class 2 Crossbred Market Hogs. 11, Audie Usner, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 10, Brooke Feltz, Harper FFA. 9, Tyler Pollock, Harper 4-H. 8, Holt Herbert, Willow Creek 4-H. 7, Carson Beachy, Harper FFA. 6th, Adela Threadgill, Fredericksburg FFA. 5th, Bailey Groby, Fredericksburg FFA. 4th, Audie Usner, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 3rd, Reese Sogaville, Fredericksburg FFA. 2nd, Sloan Spenrath, Harper FFA. And your class winner was exhibited by Andon Usner of the Fredericksburg FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
If I can have your attention in the swine barn, for those who are wanting to floor pigs, the trailer is still on the way. I have designated an area to bring those pigs to the east side of the barn. Right where the exhaust fan is 2 roll-up doors. That back set of pins, I have 4 pins designated for floor pigs. I will be standing back here to take your information for you.
attention in the swine barn. Attention in the swine barn. This will be first call, Class 4 crossbred market hogs. First call, Class 4 crossbred market hogs to the holding ring.
certainly a high-quality class of bears, and there's some give and take. The one I'd like to start with, just for me, balance and proportions and length of body and shape and everything fits. He fits probably better than anyone in the class. He's not the stoutest bone one of the three, but I think everything just fits, and it's more practical, his width and his mass and his shape and just the way everything balances. Young lady's blue bear comes in second. I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to say he was the stouter feature one, but for this show, Judge, when I back off to the side of him, and I don't know if it's him or just he's a little over full for me, throws his balance out of character. He wants to just get a little easier by the way he handles his top line out here in the ring. I think if you take a little out of him, show him not quite as full, he pushes our class winner even harder. Young man's bear that comes third is really hard to read. He kind of wants to follow the fence, but that's a big backed individual. He lands third for me. When you step right in behind him, he kind of wants to swing his hind legs, get a little tighter about his passion, and he's got a little information on both hocks. That's why he ends up third. Young lady's bear that comes in next, when she finally gets this one stuck, his ring presence is unbelievable. That's a tall-fronted, long-fronted bear. I think when compared to the class, he just runs out of gas. He runs out of stifle. He runs out of just true gas in the center portion of his body. Got to make him a little rounder about his rib, a little bulkier about his appearance. The black one that comes next, really tall-fronted, sound bear, just foot and bone gets him. He's a little frailer about the ground, a little frailer about his bone work. Real tall fronted, real neat bear. Young lady's power hog comes next. This is the big muscle one in the class. He's got shape to burn and a big stifle. Gets a little shorter and quicker about his hip, a little frailer about his front feet. Young man's blue bear that comes next. Awesome look, awesome design. Got to loosen this one up from on both ends. Gets a little straighter fronted, just a little tighter about how he moves. Same can be said for the next one. Shape, look, design, just got to be looser comparably. This one's a little drier flank, probably the one that I put ahead of him. Very nice class of bears. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Attention in the swine barn. This will be second call, Class 4, crossbred market hogs. Second call, Class 4, crossbred market hogs to the holding ring. And your results for Class 3, crossbred market hogs: 12th, Caden Lopez, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 11th, Aiden Stout, Willow Creek 4-H. 10th, Caden Lopez, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 9th, Andon Usner, Fredericksburg FFA. 8th, Emma Schladier, Fredericksburg FFA. 7th, Strand Spinrath, Harper 4-H. 6th, Charlie Ann Olfers, Cave Creek 4-H. 5th, Ridley Strockbine, Fredericksburg FFA. 4th, Sloan Spinrath, Harper FFA. 3rd, Charles Atkinson, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 2nd, Abigail Schladier, Fredericksburg FFA. And your class winner was exhibited by Faith Geisweit of the Fredericksburg FFA. Congratulations to those exhibitors. And attention in the swine barn, one other announcement real quick. If you have had a champion or reserve champion hog so far today, please be getting that animal ready in their pens for when we call here in a little bit. Again, if you've had a champion or reserve champion hog today, please be getting them ready so that you can come immediately when we call for you.
Attention in the steer barn. The steer and heifer showmanship will begin at 1:30. That will be the first thing, pending that the pig show is done and the ring has been set up. The showmanship order will be beginners, followed by juniors, followed by seniors. Again, steer and heifer showmanship will begin at 1:30, provided the pig show is over, with beginners, juniors, and seniors. Heifer show will follow showmanship, and the steer show will follow the heifer show.
Very good class to end the day of crossbreds, and the one I'm gonna start with is kind of just follows the pattern what I've tried to do all day. That thing's neat looking out front. It's got some skull shape. Love his back shape. Love the way he handles his feet and leg. His ring presence is good. Just a very solid place to start the class. Young man's bear comes in second. I think when we compare him to our class winner, he's not as bold about his forerib. He's a little flatter and plainer about his arm. It's probably where we start that pair. He's not as big bone, but same kind of look, same kind of build, same kind of presence while he lands in second. Very good pig, just not as much arm shape, not as much density, not as much stoutness. Young lady's big top one comes in next. If you want one that's big backed and got some shape and some meat animal shape down his top, is this bear here. He's got a big old groove down his back, big old back working in him. He lands third for me because he's the quickest about his hip. He's the shortest from hooks to pins. He kind of wants to tuck and duck his hind legs. If I could just make his hind leg overall looser, I think he pushes both the ones above him, just gets a little tuck and duck for me. Young lady's meat and potatoes bear comes next. This one ain't got a whole bunch wrong with him. Very practical kind of build hog, one that's super sound and functional. Gets a little plainer about his look, little vanilla about his shape, but a very practical hog to land in 4. Young lady's calico that comes 5. Really good shape, just got to square this one from behind. A little rounder from stifle to stifle, a little quicker about her hip. But that's a shapely animal with a big old cage, a big old forerib in her. Got a square hip, leveler from hooks to pins. You can turn the next blue ones out together. Both of these are built the same. Very good looking, very good presence. I use this one ahead of the other one because I think she's a more shapely and leveler about her hip. Needs to be freer and easier on both ends of her skeleton. Young man's bear comes next. Love his front third. Got to reconstruct his hip. Got to make him wider from stifle to stifle. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Attention in the swine barn. This will be first call breed champions. Please bring your animals up to the holding pen. Again, breed champions only. We will call for reserve champions here in just a moment. Right now, just the champions. Please come to the holding ring. And your results from Class 4 Crossbred Market Hogs. 9th, Gage Conley, Stonewall 4H. 8th, Colton Clark, Cave Creek 4H. 7th, Ryan Longahenning, Cross Mountain 4H. 6th, William Dixon, Fredericksburg FFA. 5th, Allison Wyrick, Fredericksburg Junior FFA. 4th, Kyra Conley, Stonewall 4H. 3rd, Keely Moore, Cave Creek 4H. 2nd, Gage Bryant, St. Mary's 4H. And your class winner was exhibited by Landry Ottmers with the St. Mary's 4H Club. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Well, folks, I think this crossbred drive's been good. The classes have been very good at the top end. I thought lots of bears that I would love to have at home and take home and play with and feed. I think these 4 out here represent the kind of pigs I like, and just as far as build and design. And, I tell my boys all the time at home is if we can build them right and design them right, there's enough feed additives and everything to get one that make it look like I want to in the end. But you got to build them right and design them right. And I think all 4 of these do this to a high degree. Their build is impeccable. Their design is basically the way I like them. They're tall fronted, but their still angles are right, and their shoulders and their hind legs work, and they're long out through their front end. They're good in their cage. Their shape's good. I think there's one that just takes things to a whole different level when you talk about uniqueness and the way he's built and the way his foot and his bone, and just this one trips my trigger, and I wish I had him at home because I think I could win something big when it's said and done. That young lady's Class 1 is going to be your champion crossbred. We dropped that second place one in, and I think that pair, I the whole time through the crossbred, I've struggled in my mind if I did them exactly right, and if I was too hard on that one. And I think that's a very, very good pair of pigs, and I'm going to keep them together. They got me really excited in class, and I think this is the second best one. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Attention in the swine barn, this is second call for breed champion hogs to come to the holding ring at this time. Again, second call for breed champions to come to the holding ring. Reserves, we will call you momentarily. The reserve champion crossbred market hog was exhibited by Fbg.Live of the Fredericksburg FFA, and that award was sponsored by Henry and Lauren Sagaville. The champion crossbred market hog was exhibited by Landry Ottmers of the St. Mary's 4-H, with that award being sponsored by Parker Show Pigs. Congratulations to those exhibitors, and thank you to those sponsors. Exhibitors, as a reminder, if you were selected as a champion or reserve champion at any point during the swine show today, you received an envelope with a blank thank you note in it. That thank you must be filled out and taken to a table over by the drug testing pen, given to Miss Mason DeLong, and she will give you your awards at that time. Again, without that thank you card filled out, you will not get your awards. Barn, if you have a reserve breed champion, please bring that hog to the holding pen now. Again, reserve breed champions, please make your way to the holding pen now. Also, as we get ready for the grand drive, I want to remind all of the exhibitors and their families the grand and reserve grand champion market hogs will be drug tested. Again, the grand and reserve grand champion market hogs will undergo a drug test. Entering the ring now, we have our champion market hogs, the champion Duroc exhibited by Audie Usner of the Fredericksburg Junior FFA, the champion Hampshire exhibited by Braden Strickland of the Harper FFA, champion Yorkshire market hog exhibited by Reese Sagabiel of the Fredericksburg FFA, champion white OPB market hog exhibited by Weston Herber of the Willow Creek 4-H Club. Your champion dark OPB market hog exhibited by Ridley Strockbein of the Fredericksburg FFA. And your champion crossbred market hog exhibited by Landry Altmers of the St. Mary's 4-H Club. Let's give all these exhibitors a round of applause as we kick off this grand drive. And folks in the barn, as we get this grand drive underway, I'd like to reintroduce our judge in case anyone missed it today. Judging our swine show for us today has been Mr. Cody Hayes from Fenton, Louisiana. Mr. Hayes lives in Fenton, where he manages his family's rice and crawfish farm. He's married to his lovely wife, Stacy, and they together have two boys, Guy Mark and Gage. Cody is a graduate of McNeese State University, where he was successful on their livestock judging team. In his free time, he enjoys helping his boys, his niece, and his nephew travel to show their pigs and steers, as well as spending time with his family, attending his kids' baseball and football games. Mr. Hayes has done a fantastic job for us here in Gillespie County. Let's give him another round of applause. Say thank you.
Well, folks, I surely enjoyed the show today. The quality's been really good, and I gotta first of all say thank you to everybody back home, because we're right in the middle of putting out crawfish traps. We got 2,000 acres of crawfish. We're repairing a grain bin that busted a floor, and I left 3 guys working, and with 18 other laborers coming in to start crawfishing next week and lining everything up. And I guess when Bartlett called me the other night and said y'all's judge had backed out on you, I told him give me about 10 minutes. I'd go home and talk to my wife and see if it was okay, and she said it was fine. And I come down here, and I just got to be thankful that I get to do what I like to do because of my family. We farm, and I got a lot of people that take up my slack because I'm gone a lot. I'm on the road a lot. The boys are involved in football and baseball, as they said. We show a lot. It just takes a lot of working parts, and I know they probably can't hear this, but just let y'all know how appreciative of my family. This industry me and my wife met in this industry. She's from Oklahoma, showed cattle. We met at a junior nationals probably in 1999. I'm starting to show my age, but I was helping fit some cattle. She was same age as me. She was there. Family was showing. We met. She went to Oklahoma State. I worked in Oklahoma for a brief stint there for a guy on a hog farm, and then ended up moving back home and taking over my family farm. This industry means everything to us. I know it says we play baseball and football, but we show first, and kids just enjoy every moment of it. Take everything you can. Always be respectful to everybody else, because I guarantee you, in this world, when you compare everybody that's born, there's not a bad person that's born when you compare it to this world, and this is where you want your kids raised. And so be nice to everybody here. We got to be one, be a group. With that being said, I'm not much of a speech giver, and now I've talked for a little while, but there's one when he come through the gates, and I think if I had this one and he was at the house and we were getting ready for a show for whenever this one's in Target Looks, I'd be thinking I could win and win something big. That young lady's crossbred wins for fun. We dropped that second one in, and I thought that pair was as close as it could be in class, and I started them back and forth in my mind, and I got on this one for his top, and when he come back for reserve cross, I thought, boy, you got awful hard on him trying to beat him with the other one. I still like him second best. Let's give this young lady in blue a round of applause.
Your reserve grand champion market hog was exhibited by Miss Faith Gillespie of the Fredericksburg FFA chapter, and your grand champion market hog for the 2022 Gillespie County Youth Livestock Show was exhibited by Miss Landry Ottmers of the St. Mary's 4-H Club. Let's give a big round of applause to these exhibitors and all of those that came through the ring today. Congratulations to everyone.